Hi there. Most likely this year, you'll have spoken to family, friends, and colleagues remotely via the internet. That is how we've been able to make this podcast. Therefore, it's very likely that you've experienced those amazing audio special effects like compression, lag, and my personal favourite, sounding like a robot. So don't you worry, we've worked very hard and managed to achieve those exact same special effects on this podcast at times, so that we remain on brand with most people's 2020. I hope you enjoy the show.
This is the Lockdown Hotline Sessions with your host, Danielle Lonnon.
Sorry, please answer that.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Lockdown Hotline Sessions with me, your host, Danielle Lonnon. This is the podcast where we put identical questions to all of our guests, but they mix it up, spice it up, and entertain us with their unique take on COVID and lockdown in 2020. Today's guest is Stephen McGill. Stephen has been an independent producer since 2012. He has previously worked on the worldwide productions of Mamma Mia, as well as the London productions of Billy Elliot and Jersey Boys. His upcoming productions include Operation Crucible at the Sheffield Crucible, Tomorrow Morning at the Charing Cross Theatre, Stay Awake Jake, and 54 the Musical. Recent productions include the UK and international productions of musicals Fame and Madagascar. Also, The Steamy at the SSE Hydro in Glasgow, Operation Crucible, 59E 59 Theatre New York, and the UK tour and West End run of American Idiot primarily at the Arts Theatre London. Other UK tours include The Crucible, Footloose, Flashdance, Spamalot, Of Mice and Men, Little Shop of Horrors, Chichester Festival Theatre's West End transfer of The Pyjama Game at the Shaftesbury Theatre, Gary Lamont, Dropping the Soap, Scottish Tour, Katie Brennan's Quarter-Life Crisis, Edinburgh Festival, The Last of the Demollins, German Street Theatre, Facing East in Concert, Lyric Theatre, The Tailor-Made Man, Arts Theatre, and An Incident at the Border, Trafalgar Studios. He attended the Stage 1 New Producers Workshop in October of 2011 and was awarded the Stage 1 Startup Bursary in 2014 for The Pyjama Game. Stephen McGill, hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to have you here. Now, as you know, we ask identical questions to all of our guests. Ladies and gentlemen of the company, this is your beginner's call. Are you ready to start?
I'm indeed.
Excellent. So, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself that perhaps wasn't covered in the introduction?
Well, you can maybe told by my accent fairly quickly that I'm Scottish. I was born and raised up in Stirling, which is a wee city. I mean, it's still a big city in Scotland, but I lived there until I was 18 and then went down to the big old smoke in London where I trained originally to be an actor. And trained at Mount View, which was wonderful. Then, went out in the wide world as an actor for a good 5-6 years. But the reason I fell into producing, and if you've got time for this, sorry, it's a bit of a spiel, but the reason I got into producing was I had a day off.
Okay.
Yeah, it's random. So I was working in the box office of Mamma Mia, in between, obviously resting in between acting jobs, and which was fab, you know. So I was working in the box office there, and we did like 4 days on and a day off, or you know, we had a day off in the middle of the week. And my box office manager came up to me and said, "Look, are you free tomorrow? Because the producers of the show are looking for someone to, you know, help out them set up the office." So I was like, well, yeah, of course, yeah, I'll jump on, you know. Obviously, busy as I was with auditions, you know, having to reschedule left, right, and centre to make this work. And yeah, so I went to the office of the general managers and I loved it. You know, I had a couple of days there and they asked me back another couple of days. And then that became a week. And, you know, it was so exciting to see the other side, you know, because if you're an actor, you kind of just see it from the the actor's point of view,
Mm-hmm.
But it was great to see the amount of work and how excited people were, how hard they worked behind the scenes to make the shows happen. So they asked me, they said that there was a new musical coming on board that they would general manage in the new year, and would be interested in coming on board full time. And I was obviously, really excited about that.
Wow.
They didn't tell me, but they said meet us there on Monday, and it's the first day of rehearsals for the new musical. So I get there. I remember it was raining. It was really miserable January day, and which is basically like summer in Scotland. To be honest, it's like the middle of August in Scotland. And I turned up, and it was the first day of rehearsals for Jersey Boys, and it was like, wow. I had no idea. And, as I said, as an actor, you kind of, I suppose I didn't appreciate that that's the first day of rehearsals. That's day one of the show for me.
Yeah.
As an actor or as a musician, I suppose, or whatnot. But for these producers, that's the culmination of, years of work to get it to that point. So, So a long story short, that's kind of how I got into producing, was the fact that I had a day off, and I realised that, that you could get as much out of this side of things as well as I enjoyed as an actor. And here I am, 10 years later, Dan.
Oh my God, that is so amazing. I just absolutely love those stories. I am so, so happy to hear it. That's actually made my day, because something very similar happened to me. So, just being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah. And taking the opportunity, taking a chance, I think, that was it. It just shows you that that Sliding Doors film, if I'd have said no, where would I have been? Would I have found my way to producing another way? You'll never know, I suppose.
No, I guess not. Wow, that's actually a fascinating thought too. Sliding Doors. Yes, absolutely.
We'll make a show of that, actually. That's a good point. We'll make a show of that if no one's got the right. Just so we can double check.
Oh, I like that. Let's make a musical, Sliding Doors.
Why not?
Okay.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to move on to question number 2. What is your current location, and what is the state of lockdown there?
So I'm in Chichester. Chichester's in the south of England, just near the south coast. And I've been here 5 years. And my wife works at the Chichester Festival Theatre. So we've been down here a good while now, actually. And it's obviously it's a beautiful part of the world. We have beaches 10 minutes away. We have the rolling south down hills. And,
yes.
It's a gorgeous part of the world. And it's been tough. And I'm sure it's been tough everywhere. But because it's obviously it's more rural, well, not rural, but it's a market town. It's not a city. It's been more difficult, I think, with the lockdown to, I suppose, busy yourself.
Right. Yep.
But yeah, it's been tough. And I don't know if you know about the tier system that's come into play.
Yes, we've heard about it.
Yeah, we've been a review yesterday, and we've stayed in the sort of middle tier, which is kind of, you can't have everything open, but we're not shutting everything, and we're kind of surrounded by areas that are kind of crept up into tier 3.
Okay.
So it's that, there's a bit of that worry of going, well, we next. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And my follow-up question to that is it mandatory for you guys to wear a mask?
Yes, it's on transport and when shopping.
Okay.
And that's a new thing, isn't it? Whereby you go, right, have I got my wallet? Have I got my keys? Have I got, and the amount of times I've kind of been walking towards the train station and I go, I forgot my mask.
I am a very geeky stage manager, so I've actually got a few masks, and while one is being washed, one is actually prepped in my bag, ready to go. Just think of it as stage management 101.
Absolutely. I would have known that. I should have known that. Brilliant.
So, are you still in the same location as pre-COVID? And that's in early March this year. And are you still doing the same thing? And when I mean, are you still doing the same thing? If you worked in a pub in early March, are you still working in a pub now, kind of thing?
Sure. Still producing, but a completely different way of going about things. So I am. I suppose it's a quick answer, but I'm doing it differently.
Right. You've kind of remixed producing.
Well, yeah. Do you know what? What it's given me, they've given an opportunity, and sure, we'll chat about it in a bit, but it's been a chance to kind of reevaluate what I was doing, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
But it just taking time to reflect from March onwards, going, right, what do I want to do? Started producing 10 years ago, and it was, new writing and producing new work, which got me into the game in the first place. So it was about sort of revisiting that, and the projects that I've managed to take the time to develop are now coming to fruition. So I suppose, as much as obviously it's been a terrible time in general,
Yep.
it's actually been a good time to sort of reevaluate what my focus was and take a look at projects that I'd maybe not had that chance to before.
So since COVID-19 and the restrictions started, what do you miss doing that you can't do right now?
Good, that's a really good question. I mean, probably the social aspect of, we're very social animals. I think that's probably something that's been difficult. The way about producers, sometimes I feel that we go on a lot of first dates because we're meeting new people, whether it be new creators, new creative entities or investors,
Absolutely.
So that a lot of our time is meeting people, and I think that that's been more difficult. I mean, obviously you've got Zoom, but the social aspect of it.
Yeah, I get that. But thankfully for the internet, you and I can talk 500,000 miles away.
I know, it's amazing.
What skill do you feel that you've improved at during this time?
I suppose in terms of when you've got a production meeting or when you're with a group, when you're, again, going back to the Zoom conference calls, I think that it's been the listening aspect and communication aspect have actually been, when you can take the time to people. If you sometimes feel that when you're commuting into a meeting and then you've got an hour in that meeting and you're going to rush off to somewhere else, then it feels like you're not really absorbing anything.
Yep.
Or you're absorbing it, but you're writing it all down to kind of, focus on later. So I suppose that taking a time and going through things certainly absorbed a lot more at the time, if that makes sense.
Actually, that's a really nice thing to notice because I think, yeah, you're right. We all rush around normally, and now we've actually had the time to go stop, listen to what someone is telling you, and actually absorb it here and now, not in 3 days' time. I really like that answer. On the flip side, what have you discovered that you are absolutely rubbish at?
Oh, I mean, loads of things. I mean, not from a work point of view, right? I'm rubbish at working from home.
Really?
Well, yeah, because I kind of get distracted.
Okay.
Listen, it's been a blessing in the sense that commuting into London, a bit of a headache and whatnot, even though I miss meeting people. I drink too much coffee, that's one thing. As you can probably tell how quickly I freaking just now, I've already had 5 cups.
Excellent.
But I just distract myself. So I need to kind of chill. Just chill, McGill. There you go. I've got my own slogan there. I've just thought of that now. Thanks.
That's the musical Chill McGill. Now, the next question could be very, very embarrassing for you. I'm kind of hoping it is because that means it's very, very entertaining for us. So, are you ready for it?
Yes.
Okay. What is something that you don't want the rest of the world to know that you may have geeked out at during lockdown? And examples of these might be binge watching a television show in a day, or playing your computer games for 24 hours straight, or eating a whole packet of chocolate biscuits in under, let's say, 3 minutes.
Do you know what I've been doing? And again, because I'm a certain age.
Just remember, I'm older than you.
I know, well, not by much.
Not by much, though. No.
This is so embarrassing, but you mentioned computer games. I've been playing retro Pac-Man games. I've been playing on a PC. I don't know if you know this Bubble Bobble, which was this really cute kids game. I've been playing that. I've revisited all the Marios. I mean, Mario 3 was always my favorite. I'm so sorry to everybody listening to this because this is great entertainment, folks. Sorry, but yeah, I've kind of revisited my 8-bit and 16-bit youth. I'm stomping on mushrooms.
The reason that I asked this question is because one of my mates, who was actually in the first podcast, made me go and buy a Nintendo Switch, and I've been playing Animal Crossing, but also all the back catalogue of the Nintendo games on the Switch. So snap, bro, snap.
There we go.
And I am proud to say that I am just as bad as I was in about 1990. Yes.
I literally spent a day trying to search for a Mickey Mouse game that I remember I played when I was 8 years old. Now, this is getting embarrassing. I remember I used to play with my cousin and I couldn't get past this level. So I used to take the power pack out and swing it around my head and bash, I think it was an Atari or something. Bash the Atari going, and I still can't get past that level at 38, 30 years later.
No. What you do is you actually go onto YouTube because someone will have filmed it, and you don't watch the whole thing because you don't want to give the game away.
Yeah.
You just want to go, why can't I get past this section? That is the best way to go about it.
That's it. Sorted.
So, as you're such a famous theatre producer, a soap opera has contacted you and offered you a lead acting role, remembering that you used to be an actor in your previous life. What type of character are you hoping that they're going to write for you, considering soaps are a little bit more dramatic than real life?
Oh, that's a good one. There used to be this Scottish soap called Take the High Road. From the song I'll take the high road, you take the low road. And I remember watching it when I was a kid on Scottish television. So I think I would hope to be offered a role in Take the High Road. You want to be the pub landlord, don't you? Because there's so many famous pub landlords in UK
TV.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, the landlord would be good.
Yes, I'm just thinking of one of the most famous landlords, and unfortunately she passed away last week, is Barbara Windsor on EastEnders.
Yeah.
So, yes, but being a pub landlord on a soap, I think, that would be a lot of fun to play.
Because that's where the drama's at, isn't it? I mean, everything kind of happens with the
Exactly.
pub, doesn't it? Especially these programs. So you'd be, at least you would kind of know that, you'd be in a few episodes.
Quite a few, I reckon, because I think that the pub is like the central location where everyone in the soap congregates. So it's, it's a pretty high action and high moving scene to be in.
That's it. Pub landlord.
Well, Steve, sadly, that is the end of the questions. But just before we conclude our interview, let's pretend we're in a different world and COVID hasn't happened. I ring you very excitedly. I've just won the lottery, and I decide that you and I are going to put on a West End show.
Wow.
What show is it that we're going to do, and who are some of the creatives and casts that you'd like to approach? And, of course, Dame Judi Dench is at the top of the list, right?
Yes. Yes, she is. I mean, she always is, isn't she? She's number one of every list. Does this need to be an already existing musical, or is it
up to you?
Okay.
Or it could be one of the musicals we've just actually mentioned tonight that we're going to do.
I mean, yeah.
Dame Judi Dench wraps an Atari around her head because she can't get past level 8. Level 8 the musical.
Level 8 the musical. I mean, that's exciting. Do you know what? I would like to maybe not do it in a West End theatre. I think that hopefully, as you said, if we're not in a COVID world, the experiential, genre is something that's really exciting. And I think that people want to enjoy themselves. Not to say that they're not enjoying themselves at the theatre, but actually is making it a full night out. As you've seen the amazing success of The Great Gatsby and some of the, the immersive shows that Alice on the Ground, which have been fantastic in terms of immersing yourself in the whole night. That would be something that I would be really keen to do. I'm working on a project at the moment, which if you had won the lottery, I would certainly ask if you would like to come on board. But at the moment, I hate saying that. I hate when people do that. And I do it a lot when you go, watch this space coming up soon. Sometimes you can't tell what the project is until you get the green light. An experiential one.
Okay. As a producer, I fully respect that you need to keep it sealed. As a producer, storyteller, oh my God, Stephen, really? You've let us hang.
It's level 8. That's it. What you're going to see is you're going to see level 8. You've got to don a blue spiky hedgehog suit, and you've got to run around.
That's actually going to be our code now, forever and a day, isn't it? Hi, what are you working on? Can't really tell you, but I'll just say level 8. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Do you know what? You do think that the next level, not to use a pun, but is there a world where theatre and, again, going back to 5G and gaming, as you've seen these hyper-realistic games that have been out recently, is that the world actually between movies and games in terms of actors and the scope of acting involved in it, then, that could be something to explore.
Oh, I like that.
5G, VR, I think that is something that potentially could be exciting. Because, as I said, if the technology gets better and cheaper...
Yes, absolutely.
There may be a world where you're sitting in the theatre, but you're not sitting in the theatre.
I like it. A virtual reality show where you get to hang out with Dame Judi Dench. Okay, I'm in. Done.
Yeah.
Also, Stephen, I think this is going to be my favourite part of the podcast. You are producing a new musical called Treason. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. So again, sort of going back to earlier when I was mentioning about, picking up the project that had sort of on the to-do list. But this has been about 18 months ago. A good friend, Ricky Allen, who's written the music and lyrics and is currently writing the book, he came to me with the idea of doing a musical based on the Gunpowder Plot.
Okay.
And I remember having lunch with him and telling me the history during that period. For everyone who doesn't know about the Gunpowder Plot, it was a bunch of plotters who planned to blow up the Houses of Parliament during the state opening of Parliament, where basically everybody attends, and royalty attends, and it still happens to this day. Guy Fawkes is the one that's synonymous with this plot, is who it's based on. So yeah, he was telling me about the plot and how, that actually everybody thinks that Guy Fawkes is the main guy behind it.
Right. He was the patsy, wasn't he?
He was. He knew how to make a bomb.
Right.
That was it. He knew how to make a bomb and he got caught.
You had one thing.
You had one job, dude. They would tell me about these funny stories of them when they were obviously taking the gunpowder down the river. It was wet, so they lit a fire to dry out the gunpowder.
Oh, wow. Not the sharpest knives in the block.
Yeah. So the musical tells the story of the plotters, led by a man called Robert Catesby, who was the mastermind behind the plot.
Right.
And as I said, Guy Fawkes remains an anonymous figure to an extent that it's based more around the plotters, who were English Catholic nobility.
Right.
And to give you a sort of brief spiel, Queen Elizabeth I, who was on the throne, is obviously near the end of her life and has no heir.
Yep.
So the Catholics have been persecuted for the past 45 years, and they see hope in King James of Scotland. James VI of Scotland becomes James I. And they go to him and saying, "Good, will you promise that you will look after us? We've been persecuted for 45 years. She's on her way out. You're on the way in." And he does, but then it becomes part that he's broken his promise. So that's where the plot originates. I mean, Ricky's written this beautiful folk, rock, pop. I mean, it's a wonderful fusion of music that I'm so excited about.
Wow.
Yeah, we did a recording. Again, this was due to the pandemic. We've kind of done it the opposite way around, I suppose, Dan, in the sense that we've written the music and we're finishing writing the book. So we recorded the song first.
Right.
We've been releasing them every couple of weeks, and I think we've released 3 so far. And we've got another 2 to release in the new year. And we just announced yesterday that we're going to do a concert of these tracks, which is really exciting.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm so excited. And as I said, the tracks that we've got, we're going to showcase them, and also we're going to do 5 new tracks of the musical. So it's, for us, it's developing the musical as we would normally. But what I'm excited about is the fact that we can take the audience on a journey with us, going, well, look, here we are. We've got the 5 tracks. Now we've got the 10 tracks. Now we've got the script, and sharing it with everyone on the way.
I think that's really exciting, because then people get involved because they've been there from the get-go, and then they become personally involved. They're willing to support you so much more. I actually think that's a really, really ingenious way to produce a new piece of work. So congratulations.
Thank you.
I also understand that Elaine Page talked about this show on her own BBC Two radio musical theatre show. What a glowing endorsement.
It was so exciting. Obviously, I listen to the show every week. We were the last song on the show. It was so nice for her to kind of bow out with a song, Take Things Into Your Own Hands, which she played, and she gave us some really nice words. So yeah, that was lovely.
Well, not to be outdone by Elaine Page, I'm really delighted to say that we here at the Lockdown Hotline Sessions have a sample of Take Things Into Our Own Hands from the show. I feel this is a little bit like Desert Island Disc. Should we have a little bit of a play?
Fab.
We need to think of a way to bring the whole ship down. From the edge of his throne, we'll throw him to the ground. When he's on the floor, we will pick up his crown. That's how you take things into your own hands. We'll think of a way to bring the whole ship down. From the edge of his throne, we'll throw him to the ground. When he's on the floor, we will pick up his crown. That's how you take things into your own hands.
This was performed by the original London concept cast, and the music and lyrics are by Ricky Allen. Wow, Stephen, that sounds amazing. I so can't wait now to see this production.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we're really excited. And as I said, this wouldn't have happened so soon if if it hadn't. So something, that's what I'm clinging on. It was something positive to come out of this year with the development of this show. You know, and I'm really excited about the journey it's going to take next year.
Wow. Well, as we started talking about sliding doors at the start, perhaps COVID made all of those sliding doors so that this actually happened now. So maybe that's a really good thing.
Yeah. Again, I'm a big believer of that. You know, as I said to you at the beginning about how I came to be where I am, is that things can happen, and it's not been a great year. But if there's something good that comes out of it, then I'll cling on to that and I'll take that.
Wow. If you'd like to follow Stephen on social media, he's on Twitter and Instagram at smcgill82. Stephen's official webpage is www.stephenmcgill.com. If you'd like to hear more gems from Treason the Musical, the website is www.treasonthemusical.com. All of the links that we've just mentioned will be listed in the show's description. Stephen McGill, what a privilege to be able to chat with you. I'm a big fan and I wish you every success with your upcoming projects, especially Treason the Musical. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Lockdown Hotline Sessions.
Thank you. It was great. Thanks.
No worries. Well, as we come to the end of another episode of the Lockdown Hotline Sessions, my name is Danielle Lonnon and you can find me on all the socials at DameDivaDan. Until next time, thank you so much for listening. Stay safe and be kind. Ciao. This episode of the Lockdown Hotline Sessions was recorded and produced in Sydney in December of 2020.